There was no shortage of drama this weekend as we got to see a new pole winner, a new race winner, and a whole lot more drama between teammates. Let's get right into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Formula One Digest. I'm your host, Tyson De Silva, reacting to the Brazilian Grand Prix. And folks, what a race weekend. We have a new race winner. We have a guy who got his first pole position. And we're going to start it off with that. And that is Kevin Magnussen getting his first pole position in F1. And it is also Haas's first pole position in their history. They've been a team for, I think, about 5 or 6 years now. And folks, this is huge for Haas to be able to claim pole. Obviously, I'm going to break down what the situation was, and then we'll talk about what this means for the team. So we're in qualifying for the sprint race. It was a sprint race weekend, and we see Kevin Magnussen make it into Q3. All of a sudden, you have George Russell who goes into the gravel and yellow flags or red flags the session, and then before you know it, the rain gets harder and harder. The conditions are worse and worse. No one's going to be able to beat Kevin Magnussen's time. And sure enough, he was able to do it. And I think it was just so awesome to see him be able to do this because obviously Haas has had a rough go for the past couple of years. And to see the progress they've made this year alone is very promising for next year and for the future. They still haven't announced who their driver for next year is, but I'm really glad that Kevin Magnussen's going to be there because I think he has proven that he deserves that seat. He still has a spot in F1 and he's going to be the future of the team and help them push for more points, maybe eventually a race win. That wasn't the case for this weekend as he dropped places in the sprint race and did not finish in the actual race due to Daniel Ricciardo kind of hitting him from the back and then crashing out. But overall, it was just a promising look from Kevin Magnussen. It was so special to see him celebrate with the team in the garage and him embracing Gunther Steiner. And yeah, it's just so unbelievably great to see Haas do so well. And I got to give it to Haas because it's been a rough go. It was Gene Haas's birthday, and it looks like the birthday waves started off really well. Obviously, they didn't end where they wanted to be, with Kevin Magnussen finishing last because of a DNF. But overall, really promising, and I look forward to see what they do as we head into Abu Dhabi because I think that they can still get decent points and have a decent showing to close the year. And hopefully Mick can also do that as well and push for points or maybe a podium. Who knows with Haas? One day they're really amazing. One day they are not the best. But moving on, obviously we had the sprint race and then on Saturday and then the race just now. And folks, a lot of people thought Max Verstappen was going to dominate this weekend and that it was his race to lose and that, you know, he's going for his 15th win to extend his new record. That wasn't the case as George Russell has a dominant weekend with the Mercedes car and wins the sprint race and gets his first career race win in F1. First of all, a big congratulations to George Russell. It was a phenomenal drive from him. A lot of adversity, a lot of things that could have not gone his way, but he persevered through, and now he is a race winner. So welcome to the club, and we really just have to congratulate him and Mercedes on what they've been able to achieve in the latter stages of this season. I know we give them a bit of a hard time here, but honestly, what they've done in this race and even the last race weekend is so impressive. And I gotta give the Sebastian Vettel overtake award to George Russell when he overtook Max Verstappen during the sprint race. I know Max had floor damage or something like that, but it was such a great battle between the two, and he came out on top, and he fully deserves to win this award. And yeah, there are a couple of candidates I could give it to, but I think that George, it's his first win, and honestly, it was that overtake I think that put him in that position to win in this race. Obviously, where does George go from here? Well, I think that no one has doubted that George is a very promising driver, and obviously Toto Wolff saw it enough to sub him in and take out Valtteri Bottas from the team. And I think, honestly, that next year, if Mercedes can develop a car that is strong enough from the jump, from the start of the season, they're going to be a powerhouse team, and they're going to be able to probably contend for the championship. I don't want to say that they're going to be a guaranteed win for the championship, because we've seen this year where we saw Ferrari and Red Bull going kind of back and forth until Red Bull ran away with it. I think you've got to consider the Mercedes team in that category. And hopefully there will be another team like McLaren or Alpine who will also be pushing for major wins. And yeah, honestly, big congratulations to George. I don't think I can say anything more about what a weekend that this guy has had. And, I'm looking forward to see how he follows this up in Abu Dhabi. Of course, while George got the win, we are still neck and neck between two drivers in the championship, and that is Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez, and they are going into Abu Dhabi tied for P2 in the championship. And I just have to say, it is going to be such an exciting race. Things are really heating up for this P2 battle, and it all started with a lot of drama, and I think it's going to end in drama, because in this race, we had not one but two teammates requesting to switch places or not give places back. And I just want to break that down really quickly for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch the race. We had Charles Leclerc, who was in fourth place. He had battled his way from a spin out all the way into P4. He was asking the team, he was pleading with the team to let Carlos Sainz give him the position, his podium finish for P3, which would put him ahead of Sergio Perez. And the team basically either ignored or denied that request, saying that they weren't going to take that away from Carlos. I think it would have been wrong for them to take it away from Carlos. Carlos fully deserved that podium finish. And then for Sergio Perez, he had maybe his worst race of the season, where he was unable to keep up with George Russell and had to give up tons of places to Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. I don't know what happened to him, but he did not have the pace that I thought that he was going to have. So hopefully he can bounce back from this. I think what I heard is that there was a lot of traction issues. I don't think that the Red Bull car has regressed in any shape or form. I think it's still a strong car. I think we've seen that in qualifying, and we even saw it in the sprint race. But I really do think that he needs to be on his A game if he wants to finish P2 in the championship. But more on that in just a second. But of course, for Sergio, he struggled in this race. He didn't really have the best strategy. I feel like Red Bull could have done a little better to help position them in the best way possible. But you look at what happened. He got overtaken by Lewis, by Carlos, and at one point, Charles and even Fernando Alonso, he was P6, trying to keep up with Fernando, but eventually his teammate Max Verstappen caught up with him, and Max overtook him, and there was an agreement on the table stating that if Max was able to overtake Fernando Alonso, then they would hold the positions, but if Max Verstappen could not overtake Fernando Alonso, then they would switch back on the last lap to give Sergio the advantage to have 2 points ahead of Charles in the championship. Well, we fast forward to lap 71, and Max is nowhere near close to overtaking Fernando Alonso, in my opinion. And the team said, Max, give the position back to Checo, and he completely ignored those team orders, stating that he has his reasons for why he has done it. There is a bunch of speculation as to why he did this, or what triggered this. A lot of people are taking it back to Monaco, where Sergio red flagged the session and prevented Max from going on a pole winning lap. But in my opinion, Max Verstappen is at fault here, and he's put his teammate and supposedly his friend in a bad position for Abu Dhabi, because now he's tied with Charles Leclerc. You can't be as crafty with where you need to finish. Sergio Perez, to win P2 and secure a 1-2 finish for the team in the Drivers' Championship, needs to finish ahead of Charles Leclerc. And you can almost bet that Carlos and Ferrari are going to be doing all they can to help Charles be ahead of Sergio. And hopefully Max is going to do the same. He was asked what happened during those team orders. He said that they talked about it after the race, and that he's going to fully support Checo for the next race in Abu Dhabi. But in my opinion, he's about a race late. He could have done it here. He also could have done it in Mexico, in my opinion, because in all honesty, Sergio has been probably Max's best teammate in his whole career. that's better than Daniel Ricciardo and better than Alex Albon. We saw what happened in Abu Dhabi last year where he held up Lewis Hamilton to allow Max to catch up. We've seen what's happened in races this past year where he's helped Max be in better positions to win this championship. And I think it's a lot of selfish behavior from Max. And I think Will Buxton said it best where he said that Max is a deserving champion and he's shown that to us, but he has a lot to learn as a team leader. And I 100% agree with that because I just think that Max, this is a team sport. You've won the championship. It's not like you're fighting for anything in this case. It is entirely a selfish play and a bad look on you. So I do hope that his attitude changes as we head into Abu Dhabi because that's not what you really want to see between teammates. And we're going to talk a little bit more about two certain teammates in this next segment. But I do want to give a quick shout out to the Ferrari strategy special of the weekend. No! And I got to give it to Aston Martin. This was a very underrated race for Sebastian Vettel, but I feel like the stops that Aston Martin make really messed him up, and he finishes P11 in the race. And in all honesty, I think he had the capability to probably finish in the top 5 to 7 to 5, as he was really on pace. He was showing really good race pace the entire time. He was able to defend Lewis Hamilton for a fair bit. But then all of a sudden he makes one stop, and all of a sudden you kind of see him go down the pecking order, overtaken by Lance Stroll. I don't really like how his race ended. I think that it wasn't fitting for a guy who's won there a couple of times in his career. But honestly, I think Seb just wants to be in positions to win points and just wants to race for fun. I'm sure he's not as fussed about it as I am, but I got to give it to Aston Martin because, yeah, there wasn't a lot of thought, I think, that went behind that, as it really did put him in a bad position. He was leading for most of the race between him and his teammate. Of course, we did have some very interesting clashes between teammates, as we had Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel during the sprint race kind of fighting, and Lance Stroll made this weird form of defense where he basically just went in front of Seb as Seb was overtaking, forcing Seb onto the grass. But I want to talk about two other drivers on a different team, and that is Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, because, folks, I think they straight up just have a relationship issue, and I'm honestly surprised by what we've seen lately. I know we've seen them collide and kind of tussle with each other a fair bit, but this was straight up animosity, as we got to see a really strong fight between the two, and it ended with Fernando Alonso getting damage on his front end, and yeah, it basically compromised his race in the sprint. And after the sprint, Fernando Alonso was asked if he's going to work to repair his relationship with Esteban, and he basically said, there's one more race and it's over. And I think that kind of sums up how they both might feel about each other. This isn't the first time either driver has had a problem with their teammate. Of course, we all are aware of the Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton rivalry that's been going on for a number of years. We're also aware of the rivalries that Esteban Ocon has had in the last couple of years, and especially with Sergio Perez. He's had beef with Max Verstappen for a couple of years. I just think it's really interesting that he can't really seem to get on with his teammate. So we're going to have to see if there's another incident when we head to Abu Dhabi next week. But I think it just shows how a lot of drivers can't put their egos aside and work together. A lot of that was demonstrated in this race. So hopefully we get more fireworks and more drama as we head into the last race of the season. We have Charles Leclerc against Sergio Perez for P2 in the championship, and we have Mercedes and Ferrari fighting for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate all the support, and we will see you guys for the season finale of this F1 season.